And because what cooking actually made us human. Turns out when we moved from gorilla, which are pure vegans, to our brain, 3 times bigger brain, we actually started to eat animal carcasses. But to eat those, we had be able to digest those, we started to discover fire, and we started to cook. So with cooking is actually changed our brain and made us humans over 6 million years. We needed that. But overcooking and ultra-processing now, actually we have evidence that causes dementia. For those who eat 20% of their food intake, we have 28% faster decline in your cognitive part. And this is what is done to us. And overcooking or ultra-process is reversing that. We need to go back cooking. How many of us cook every day? No, less than 20%. Well, you may, yes, I know. That's your job description. So, but bottom line is the effect on the brain, it's even bigger and we don't know. As goes the body, so does the brain. This is actually a slide from Dr. Georgia Ede, who is a nutritional psychiatrist that's trained at Harvard. There's a phenomenal book. Pretty much what I show you happens with the fatty liver. It happens the same in the brain. And, the biggest problem we have, depression went up the same way. Number 1 cause of disability in the world right now, serious anxiety or psychiatric illnesses such as bipolar and schizophrenia. Dementia, number 7 cause of death in the world. Remember, it's diabetes of the brain, 80%. They all come together. And yes, you could choose to say, meat is everything. That's fine. You could do that. And you can be pure vegan, which is fine. It's a personal choice. Just know that our brain is not designed for that, because plants have these inhibitors that blocks our actually vitamins and metals absorption. They are supposed to hold this, like protease inhibitor, oxalase, tannins, phytates. It reduces your goitrogens, that stops your iodine. The plant is supposed to hold that because that's food for them, okay, when they grow. And if you eat that by itself, it's in grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, all right? It's phytic. And so vegan diet, especially ultra-processed, tend to be lower in brain nutrients. Plants produce anti-nutrients that are anti-nutrients for us because it prevents those absorption, but it's designed to keep their nutrients for themselves to grow. And again, this is from Dr. Georgia Ede, and this is an example, zinc. Zinc is absolutely necessary for our brain function. It's actually the main metal that's present in that superoxide dismutase that neutralizes the free radicals I was telling you about. And oysters are the biggest source of zinc. It's amazing. You can eat basically 10 oysters and you have enough zinc for 6 months. But not if you have them with black beans or with corn tortillas. Nothing gets into your system because the plant inhibitors bind your zinc and it doesn't get absorbed. So eat them by themselves, not with the beans or not with the corn tortillas. All right, and indeed, if you were to compare vegans with omnivores, and the zinc inadequacy is less likely to be in omnivores compared to vegans. Iron deficiency, major problem with women. I don't have to tell you, but turns out our brain needs iron. What's the number 1 symptom of somebody who got iron deficiency anemia? Anxiety. You can't sleep at night. You don't know what's happening, and all you did, you're just a woman who's trying to eat healthy, and you lost obvious 3 years of menstruation blood and iron. So it's important, all right? And by all means, I'm not discouraging you from being vegan. All I'm saying is, if you're vegan, I need to know, because I'm going to have to ask you to do some supplements here. That's all. So whether we like it or not, brain health favors pre-agricultural whole foods. That's just that, okay? And not only that, but one essential fatty acids, the omega-3s, do not come from vegan products, no matter how hard you try. They're deficient, particularly when we divide omega-3s in EPA and DHA. DHA is for the brain, always lower in vegetarians or vegans. And again, this is not my ideas. These are one of our research, Dr. Georgia Ede. I highly recommend everybody to read this book. It's in your booklet at the end. Don't worry about it. Everything is there. Change your diet, change your mind. Just came out in January. I read it. And basically remember that this, even if you eat your fish, but if you fry it or you heat it up at high temperature, you're going to inactivate. Why do we need this EPA and DHA? We need to eat our fish and maybe our meat, and it doesn't come from so much from the vegan products like flax seeds, we don't convert that. It's linoleic, which is omega-3. That will take some time to get all the way to this. But bottom line, we need that because you need to eat the fish, the marine fish, which they don't make in themselves, like salmon, or they eat algae. So farm fish will not have it unless they are fed algae. No, they are fed the same food like our chicken, and so you can't really count on the farm fish. You need to go on the marine one. They eat algae, and why? Turns out you need this omega-3 DHA to just have a brain. A third of our brain is that. Any electrical transmission and neuron connections requires the DHA. It's our main way how we signal the cells with each other. It's a semiconductor. Actually, the way we see, the DHA on our retinal cells gets activated, and then it triggers us a symbol so we can see. It's absolutely essential. So you see DHA, and there's a ratio between the omega-3 and 6. Everything that's bad for the brain and the eye, for example, advanced macular degeneration, which is an age-related condition, it's always, you're going to see the biggest risk factors, high ratio of omega-6 to omega-3s. That means the higher the omega-6, the higher your vegetable oil intake and the vegetable, the more and the less fish you ate, the more likely you're going to go blind, but also get Alzheimer's. It's the same. But there's more. What about children? Here's the problem with the children. They are more likely to get autism too. If the mom has not eaten enough of that omega-3s, big risk factor for autism for your kid. And also, not only that, but and really autism is a little more complicated. We're finally getting to the bottom of what's causing it. The number one, there is a genetic predisposition, comes from the mom's mitochondrial DNA actually. Why? Because boys are 4 times more likely than girls to get autism, so clearly there's something going on there. But by itself won't express unless you also have very little, and your mom has a lot of ultra-processed food that I mentioned. In other words, less iron, less nutrients, less omega-3s, more vegetables, more fast food, more sugar. And that activates the genetic background. They could have been wrong mitochondrial DNA. But this is as close as it gets in terms of theory, including those phthalates and plasticides that I was telling you has been associated. Look at the autism here. It's the same curve I show you for cardiovascular disease and cancer and Alzheimer's. Non-existent. And the same for AMD, advanced macular degeneration, the main cause of blindness in elderly. Okay? Non-existent until we introduce ultra-processed food. And boom, now everybody's scared, and huge stress for the parents. Trust me, I have it in family and I know what that is. Okay? But, and then it's going to be very difficult to get that child to eat healthy. But it does the same thing. Our brain, if we start frying the food and you get the sugar, destroys your natural antioxidants, the processed food, destroys the omega-3s, oxidizes the protein, causes rusting of your brain, increases, makes you hungry, and have high appetite. All right, well, if you want to absolutely make sure you're going to eat something that will make you not have a heart attack. I don't know, how many of you had heart attacks before? Oh, we have a couple of hands. Good. Do you want to know for sure you will never, you want to do something that will make sure that you will never have a heart attack again? Would you like to know the secret? So we did this study, and it was not a drug study, okay? It was a Mediterranean study. It was called the Lion study. This was done in the 80s. It was published, in 1994 in Lancet. It's absolutely largely ignored by all doctors, okay? And it's ignored, why? Because that was before we had drugs. So how would I know this? If I put you on a cholesterol pill, this all will be zero effects. I beg to differ. And the reason is, basically, it's a Mediterranean diet in a French study that was in South France. And they showed that if you put somebody on Mediterranean diet, but again, if you are in Europe, you know how to do Mediterranean diet. If you're not in Europe, no, you don't know how to do it. You think you know, but you don't. There's nobody who will teach you that. You have to go there, find out, or you can listen to me, I can teach you how to do it, or I can give you some good sources. But I'm saying is, you have to do it the right way. But anyway, and it improved 3 out of 4 have not had a heart attack after that. Just to have an idea. And that tells you that you're actually fixing the cause of causes the heart attack. Why? Because with drugs with high-intensity statin therapy, I give you high-dose atorvastatin or I give you Durapatha, and I try to drop that LDL below 50, which is the standard therapy, and I'm going to offer it, all right? I can only fix 25% of these heart attacks. But with this, according to this study, I could fix 75%. So what did they do? Well, they improved that omega-6 to 3 ratio. In other words, they cut the vegetable part, increased the omega-3 to fish from 19 to 14.4, and then they they went up on olive oil, avocado oil. They ate lots more marine fish. They had 20% more fruits and vegetables and leafy greens, equivalent of a pound a day. So I know my patients know, I insist, you should start your lunch or your dinner with a pound of salad a day. A pound, not a leaf, the BLT. Now you see the difference in the Mediterranean diet, in the American diet. We have BLT, they have Mediterranean Greek salad. Different, okay? So big difference. And there, of course, they cut the deli meat, the processed meat. Why? Because it comes with omega-6, because the animals were fed that way. And they get oxidized. And of course, cut the sugar, they don't, all right? And if you do those together, then we switch from the pro-inflammatory omega-6 to anti-inflammatory omega-3. Of course, you got to keep it very low with these guys, all right? But they are low sodium. No, they are high everything, all right? Please, all right? And here's how we know. If I can fix your omega-3, that you have a high level of omega-3 in your red blood cells, then I know for a fact you'll never have a heart attack. At least that's what the data show. There are no absolutes in what we have. But here's, for example, the risk of sudden death or heart attack, and this was published in New England Journal. If your omega-3 index, that means we can measure, it's a simple test, you can order it from Amazon, it's $60 or so. And if your omega-6 index was in the less than 4, your risk was maximum of heart attack, recurrent heart attack. But if you had it more than 8, you see, this is not missing, this is 0. So you want that, or to be 8% or so omega-3 index. And how do you do that? You know, it's very simple. You check this. It's called omega-1. I mean, there are many of them. This is what I use, and I recommend. It's not paid by insurance company. God forbid, and we do the right thing, okay? But it's not that expensive either. Cleveland Clinic uses, everybody uses. It's up to you. I don't use it on every patient because I have another way how to identify that. I don't need to check your omega-3s. If your triglyceride, HDL ratio, or your diabetes poorly controlled, I don't need to know. I know it's going to be terrible. Okay? But for those who have triglycerides to HDL ratio have improved less than 2.5, and they had the prior heart attack, then I do it. And this is an example of a patient, or some patients who eat vegan and say, I'm not going to touch fish. I don't care. I know I eat my linoleic acid or my omega-3s from my flax seeds. I say, fine, let's test it. Because you might be right, I might be wrong. You test it. This is the level, it comes back here. Remember, you want to be around 8% or higher. This was the patient who was vegan, never had a heart attack, was 4%. This is a patient who had a heart attack in his 40s. He's got genetic issues with a high lipoprotein level 8. This patient has an index. Basically, I talked to him about Mediterranean diet, cut the sugar and cut the vegetables and the fried food. His level, and eats fish 3 times a week, level is 8%. Now, believe it or not, this patient who is vegan is more likely he's going to have a heart attack, even if he never had a heart attack because he's in the mid-50s like me now, than this patient already had one. And that's how we know. All right? Okay, I know I move fast just because I've been told that we're supposed to close soon. I apologize if it looks like I didn't give you any, by the way, right? You know, canola oil it's a problem.